Good evening, councillors and members of the public, to this ordinary meeting of Sandwich Town Council on Monday the 28th of October 2024. The agenda is in front of us, and item 1 is the Chair's opening remarks. So I've got 4 things I'd like to just cover before we get into the main business. Firstly, our Mayor is not able to chair tonight, is attending a meeting with the Lord Warden of the Cinque Ports, Admiral Sir George Zambelis, ahead of his installation ceremony, which is taking place tomorrow at the Duke of York's Military School in Dover. Second thing I wanted to mention is that Sandwich had the privilege of hosting the Speakers' Day event for the Cinque Ports on Saturday the 5th of October. The event was a great spectacle for all those that attended, and this was largely down to the great effort of the town clerk and all of her staff. So I'd like to thank Jill and pass on thanks to the rest of the staff for the extra mile they all went to. The third thing I wanted to cover was following the public consultation on the Kent Community Warden Service. Kent County Council has written to the town clerk to inform her and the town council that due to the reduction in the resources available for this service, this is not going to a good place, Sandwich will no longer be provided with coverage for the service. We will still see Peter Gill in the town, however he is transferring to cover Eastry and the outlying villages, and his base location will be Eastry. The Mayor has written already to the head of the Community Warden Service to register concerns on behalf of Sandwich Town Council. Finally, I wanted to mention the grand opening of the Jubilee Centre, which happened on Saturday. Great turnout from volunteers and also the public. It was a great event. Opening speeches were given by Councillor Ungerson, Councillor Kevin Mills from Dover District Council, and also Sir Roger Gale as MP. I think that the key thing for me is recognising the amount of effort that's gone into the Jubilee Centre in terms of where it started from and where it has got to today. And there are a number of people that were mentioned on the day, but I'd like to just echo those thanks from the community and from the town council. So people like the trustee and management committee, so that's Colin Brazier, Claire Felton, Nicholas Gray, Vicky Tomlins, Claire herself, and Philip Woodhouse, ably supported by Terry Hopper. But in addition, the trustees mentioned to me that they wouldn't have got to where they got to without support of certain people within local government. So there were officers that they particularly mentioned in dispatches. So there was the support given by Roger Walton, Rob Reed Weston and Beverly Dempster, all of Dover District Council, but also a councillor and the Mayor of Deal, Ollie Richardson, was instrumental in supporting the efforts. Thank you. So they are my opening remarks. If I can move on to agenda item 2, Town Clerk, any apologies for tonight?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so Councillor Daniel Carter, a mayoral commitment. Councillor the Mayor, which is a speaker and mayoral commitment. Councillor Pennington, a travel commitment. Councillor Breen, a travel commitment. And we have apologies from Councillor Chandler due to illness.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 3, the minutes of the full town council meeting and committees. So the first...
Declarations of interest.
Apologies. I missed that out. Very important for tonight, particularly. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. This is to receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda. Has anybody got any that they would like to declare?
No. Mr Deputy Mayor, can I get some clarification, please? So, obviously, myself, Councillor Mallet, are event organisers for the item regarding the Guildhall forecourt. Do we have to declare an interest, or can we continue with what we've been discussing?
To declare an interest is your decision. If you feel you want to declare it, that's absolutely. I'm not here to police declarations of interest. That's for you and obviously Councillor Mallet to decide yourselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. No.
No. Okay.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, and that's the minutes of the full council meeting and committees. So this is to approve the minutes of the full council meeting of STC held on the 30th of September 2024, and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in this agenda. Does anybody have any comments about the minutes from the previous meeting? Councillor Black?
Yes, 924.7. The last paragraph, I think it's unintentionally phrased that way. The council has approached the parking manager to share the concerns and explore the options to improve the situation for the elderly residents. I don't think it's just for the elderly, it's people who've got some limited mobility, because the issue is parking outside the. I think Councillor Morris has got some further information she may be able to share later on, but we seem to have a problem.
So do you want me to phrase it as vulnerable residents?
That, to my mind, would be preferable if the rest of the meeting agrees.
I'm happy to correct it.
Happy to do that, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments from anybody?
Well, no.
Councillor Ripley.
Yes. I was sorry to hear that Councillor Chandler couldn't be with us today, because she was due to comment about the traffic situation around the town.
Mm-hmm.
And as I spent 45 minutes sitting on the bypass today, that was coming back from East Double, which took me well over an hour in total. Getting there had taken me an hour. I just wondered what the position was, if she'd sent anything in about what she promised to do at the last meeting, which was to find out about the situation regarding roadworks, etc., in our area.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Ripley. And just before I respond, I'd like to add to that in that I popped into the medical centre today, and just as a member of the public, and I was asked by the receptionist, how's the traffic out there? Not as a councillor, but just a general conversation. I passed comment that it wasn't a good day, and the feedback that was received was there had been a significant number of cancellations of appointments today as a result of not being able to get into the surgery.
And can I just
Councillor
mention
Ripley.
as well that I believe our local taxi service was severely impacted as well.
Thank you. Town Clerk, is there some follow-up action we could take on this?
Yes, so I'm happy to email Councillor Chandler. I did get only the apologies about 30 minutes ago that she wasn't coming this evening, so it was late notice, so I haven't had any reports.
Any other comments? Councillor Black?
Yeah, 924.19. This was the letter we sent to DDC. It didn't. I believe it did manage to get to the cabinet, but won't be able to get that up. You raised it specifically, I believe.
I read out the report verbatim
Excellent.
at the full council meeting on the 16th of October.
Thank you, that's excellent.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank Councillor Morehouse for taking that forward into that meeting. Any other comments? If not, can we take a vote on the minutes of the last meeting of the full town council? Anybody like to propose the minutes? Councillor Ripley? Somebody like to second them? Yeah, Councillor Franklin. And voting? That's carried unanimously. Councillor Gray, are you voting?
Yes.
Thank you. That's it. Right, the next set are to receive the minutes of the planning committee meeting held on the 16th of September. Any comments on these? No, thank you. Is somebody happy to propose them? Councillor Morehouse, second. Councillor Anderson, and vote.
Oh,
You've got two abstentions. Thank you. The third set is to receive the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting held on the 18th of September 2024. Any comments? No? Is somebody happy to propose them? Councillor Wiles, second. Councillor Tomlins, and vote.
An abstention.
And the final set is to receive the minutes of the Monks Wall Nature Reserve Committee meeting held on the 3rd of June 2024. Any comments? No. Somebody happy to propose? And second, Councillor Morris.
Yeah.
And votes.
Two
abstentions. Okay, moving on to agenda item 5, payment schedules. We have a number to review, and if we could take them individually. So the first is attachment 5A in the pack, and that's to receive and note the payments that miss the September schedule of payments totalling £535.91. These were taken to the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting for discussion.
So all of these, 5A, 5B and 5C, were looked at in some depth by Finance and General Purposes, as they should.
Yeah.
And we raised various comments and observations.
Thank you, Councillor Wiles.
And
Yes.
so I propose that those three, because the scrutiny is being done, I don't think, unless there's any pressing points, I don't think we need to spend too much time on them here.
Thank you.
So I'd be willing to propose all three are taken as
Yes,
one.
subject to Councillor Black would like to make a
I'd
comment.
like to thank the IFO for actually pointing out that change it from just confidential to its salaries and NI. That makes it much clearer for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So Councillor Wiles has proposed. I'm happy to second and to vote. It's unanimous. So that's attachments 5A, 5B and 5C. Agenda item 5D. So Council to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise end of October payment schedules on bank line.
Sorry. Sorry, that O, B and C. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any nominations? Councillor Franklin. And do we have a second? Councillor Wiles.
Okay. So
Do we
Councillor,
need to vote on those?
yes, please. So Councillor Franklin and Councillor Wiles. And are you both prepared to do both of the? Yeah. Is that right with you, Councillor Franklin? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So that would be D and E.
Yes.
If everyone's in agreement.
Anybody like to propose?
Proposed.
And second, Councillor Ripley. And vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, who proposed that? I didn't see that.
Councillor Marie.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Agenda item 6, public participation. And we've got, I believe, 3 speakers tonight. Is that right?
We have, Chair, yes. So the first person is about the Abby Taylor from Fokenale.
Thank you very much. Abby, if you'd like to come
Thank
at the
you.
front, if you're happy to be on
Yeah,
camera.
No,
If not, you can stand behind the camera. It's up to you.
I don't mind being on film.
Okay.
So the first thing I did want to say is I'm speaking today as if you were discussing both the conditions and the fees, just
Okay.
in case I'm not able to make the meeting where you're going to
Yeah,
discuss the
okay.
fees. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the Town Council, I'm here today in my role as Chairman of the Fokenale Committee for the 2025 Festival and also as a long-time resident of Sandwich. My request to speak today is to seek confirmation from the Town Council that if the planned revisions to the Guildhall forecourt contract are endorsed after debate, then, as in previous years and as confirmed in a face-to-face meeting on the 1st of November 2023, that the festival will be considered as a non-for-profit community event to be subject to the lower fees of £25 per day. In addition to this confirmation, it shall be added in writing to the proposed amended contract, documenting that this is the decision of the council. As I know the council are aware, but clarifying for public record, the Folk and Hour Festival is organised and run by unpaid volunteers who spend a large portion of their time and effort in fundraising to support the delivery of this very popular festival. This includes sponsorship, donations, grants and organising events leading up to the festival to meet our costs. Any additional burden on an already overstretched budget only puts the festival at risk rather than help deliver one of the town's most attended events. That the source for any additional cost could be from the town's own council is also an area of concern for the committee and other interested parties. It will come as no surprise to the council that our high streets are facing an unprecedented time of hardship, with many towns, much like ourselves, losing precious businesses, particularly within the hospitality sector. The additional footfall that the festival brings to the town over the weekend of the festival is invaluable to trade for town centre shops and other establishments. Indeed, a portion of our hard-earned sponsorship comes from those owners and managers because of the increased customer number. I've spoken to many of the local business owners in my capacity as committee chairman, and the overriding feeling is that any costs demanded by local or district councils should be kept to an absolute minimum wherever possible. We are committed to delivering a high quality and well-attended festival next year, using our limited funding to bring a weekend of celebration to the town, to have our streets and open areas filled with music, dance and the sound of people, both visitor and residents enjoying the entertainment laid on, is our number one priority. The committee and team of willing volunteers, some of whom are here today, need to limit any distraction from this goal to a minimum. So I ask again that the council confirm we will not incur any additional costs in 2025, so we can focus on the important job of doing just that. I would like to thank the council for the time given to speak today, and I hope they will take into consideration all the points made when they later debate the proposed contract changes. I am happy at any time to discuss any issues or questions the council may have, either in open meeting or on an individual basis. Many thanks for your time.
Abby, thank you very much. I'll let you sit down first, and I'll just I'll give an initial response. So, thanks for making those points. We have the chair of the Finance and General Purpose Committee as part of this meeting. The process is that we will set the budget for the coming year over the next couple of months, and within that context we will look at the fees for all the range of things that are available from the town council. So your comments are timely, and they will be taken into account when we're having the discussions within the committee. It will then come to the full town council once that has completed its process of the budget setting, and we will ratify or not the new budget, including the fees.
Thank you.
Thank you. Second.
Thank you, yes. So the second person who wants to speak this evening, I think is it Margaret?
Jean.
Sorry, Jean. Sorry, apologies, Jean. Jean.
The middle name was Margaret.
That was very spooky. Thank you, Jean. Are you happy to be on camera?
Yes, that's fine. Where
Thank
do I
you.
stand?
Well,
Just
that would be fine.
towards the councillors.
Towards the council. Excuse me. Can't see out my glasses. Right. Mr Deputy Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, I'm currently the treasurer of the organising committee for the Sandwich Folk and Ale Festival, and I'm very concerned that this important community event is facing financial problems that could be difficult to resolve. We are faced with reduced grants and inflated costs on all goods and services, but with stallholders and customers under pressure and unable to absorb these cost increases. The suggested increased pricing policy for users of the Guildhall forecourt plus electricity for almost anyone apart from registered charities needs urgent clarification. As I'm sure the people present are aware, since it is something that's been rigorously investigated by previous committees, The setting up of a registered charity is prohibitively expensive and not viable for a community activity, which is one-off event without the luxury of any paid staff. The Guildhall forecourt should be the heart of Sandwich, just as the village green is the heart of an English village. This attractive facility deserves to be used more, and all community organisations and local retailers should be encouraged in its use. We want to continue to make the centre of the town the centre of the festival, but for budgeting purposes we need to firstly have a very early agreement that the festival, as a community event but not a registered charity, qualifies for a discount from the new pricing structure and qualifies for an exemption from the electricity charge. We need to know with certainty where we stand, since we are unable to budget for this festival without this. The festival was a success in 2024, but the budget was extremely hard. Budgeting was extremely hard because of uncertainty on pricing and grant availability. Pricing uncertainty will increase if the proposed charge for electricity goes ahead, since it creates an unacceptable level of complication which will involve valuable time with the need to attempt an allocation of this extra cost across stall holders, music, sound support and other entertainment. As a not-for-profit organisation, it creates an additional level of difficulty in the budgeting process. The electricity was always inclusive of the forecourt fee, and the proposed change creates an unacceptable, unknown additional cost for the festival. I should further note that we are in a similar situation of uncertainty as last year, as relates to grants, since we're still awaiting a response to our grant application since the 18th of September, and cannot prepare the budget without it. The festival only succeeded to make a profit in 2024 thanks to generous support from sponsors. We should like to think that the Sandwich Town Council should be one of the major sponsors in line with local business, being such a great promotion for residents in the town as a whole. I request your assistance to enable the preparation of our budget for next year and your support to ensure that we can deliver a successful showcase for the town and welcome back regular visitors as well as new ones. We need to know that this Team Sandwich Council wants what we want, which is events that bring the community together, but with a cost structure that we can afford, and that the council stands behind town events as a major sponsor of all such events, not just a local supplier of goods and services. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Jean. Would you like to take a seat? Okay, just initial response. I think in terms of what I've said to Abby is similarly applicable to what you've just said. But thank you very much for providing your input. The one thing, a couple of things I want to pick up on. No increase. So you suggested within what you said there was an increase in fees. No fees have been discussed at this stage. So I want to make that clear. It will be done appropriately in the relevant council meeting, which is the Finance and General Purposes Committee to start with. We haven't got to that stage yet. The second thing, grants were mentioned. The council has already adopted earlier this year, a couple of months ago, a process for grants which will involve 2 points in each calendar year when grants will be considered. So the first will be in March 2025, the second is in September 2025, and each year as it rolls forward, those are the 2 points. The reason for that is we have to manage a very limited amount of Sandwich Tollbridge Fund grant available, and we need to give every organisation that wants to apply a clear view in terms of the process. Now, I'm happy, if you haven't seen the process of that, to be shared with you from the town clerk. It has been published already, so happy to share that. Thank you very much. Any comments?
No, I think you've covered all the relevant points. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Just one question, yes.
One question.
Yeah.
since our application was put in September,
Yeah.
for the decision in your September session, next September is going to be too late, and actually for the festival in March, in June, next March is going to be too late. So we are left. We made our proposal to the council very early, but you didn't respond with what was your allocating meeting in September,
Okay.
which has left our budgetary in a bit of a fix.
So thank you for that feedback. So I will leave that with the town clerk to investigate,
Yes.
and we will contact you after this meeting regards that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, and we have a third speaker,
We do, Christine.
Me.
Christina.
Good evening. I'm addressing you with regard to agenda items 16, 17 and 18, which fall within confidential matters and relate to the sale of Bay Hall and the proposed September confidential minutes including Fishergate and July confidential minutes including land south of Whitefriars Meadow, the selection of an agent and solicitor for the sale of Bay Hall, the creation of the Maddox Charity Management Committee, moving reserved forecourt granite sets into a secure storage, a proposal for the Maddox Charity Management Committee to discuss an interim communication plan when they meet in September, don't know if that happened, and 3 further items that were deferred for discussion, including the placement of a commemorative plaque in recognition of Georgina Maddox's bequest. All these items are being proposed as confidential matters this month due to the likely disclosure of exempt information per LGA 1972 Schedule 12A relating to the identification of individuals and their financial or business affairs. I cannot see how that exemption can be applied to all of the aforementioned items. Further, there is no mention of the public interest test having been applied. It seems to me there is a risk of applying excessive confidentiality when transparency relating to some of these items may be in the public interest. The standing orders 7.3 state, the present public's exclusion from part or all of the meeting shall be by resolution which shall give reasons for the public's exclusion, that in accordance with the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, such that it would be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, the meeting resolves that the public and press will be temporarily excluded. They go on to say, such resolutions shall only be permissible within these standing orders where A, the council has a duty under law, for example as an employer, to individuals whose personal data or other confidential information is required to be or is likely to be discussed, or B, the council is otherwise bound by law or compliance with a contract that requires the matter to be discussed confidentially in line with the 1960 Act. They go on to say, records of matters discussed in confidential session will remain confidential while the reason for confidentiality remains extant, subject to the Freedom of Information Act, the Data Protection Act and other relevant laws of England and Wales. Rather than pick apart each of the aforementioned topics proposed for consideration under confidential matters, I will select one example this evening, which is Fishergate. In September, we were informed that the discussion concerning Fishergate required confidentiality because 1, the Fishergate overview report had been bundled with reports on other assets that required confidentiality and they could not be separated, and 2, because the bundle of reports included the Empire Cinema and it would be inappropriate to discuss matters that may involve the lessee in public. Please note that the cinema is an STBF asset and this was an STC meeting, therefore the second reason was invalid in any case. Nevertheless, a resolution was passed to exclude the public despite considerable public interest and a weak argument for confidentiality. Oh, I hate this stuck together.
Last minute, Christina, 1 more minute.
Oh, right, okay. I can't separate my papers. I might have to just give them to you, but basically I'm asking... Okay, I'm going to go to the last paragraph. I'm asking councillors to consider these points, and I'll read them for less time, when deliberating decisions to exclude the public from meetings, also when determining if minutes proposed as confidential truly meet the criteria or whether they should be published in the public interest or consolidated with the main minutes and sensitive data redacted as was done previously. And the public interest is transparency and accountability to promote public understanding and to safeguard democratic processes, good decision making by public bodies, upholding standards of integrity, ensuring justice and fair treatment for all, securing the best use of public resources, and ensuring fair commercial competition in a mixed economy. And that's as stated on the Information Commissioner's website. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Are there some specific, obviously we've got a conversation this evening ahead of an agenda item, or a couple of agenda items that we're going to consider taking in confidence, but are there any specific questions that you want to leave with the town clerk to look at beyond this meeting?
Well, yes, I have got some questions which I had actually put in here, but
Okay. So if you want to
I'll hand that
to-
over, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Here you are.
Would you like to
add
respond? Yeah.
that there's no confidential minutes for September being considered this evening, so that agenda item is not, there's nothing for September this evening on the confidential.
But it's
I
on
know
the
it-
agenda,
I know
it
it
says
is, but
that.
they're not, the members haven't had them, so that won't be debated this evening.
So do
So
they
we
not
should-
exist then?
They do exist, but I haven't shared them with members for this evening, so they won't be debated this evening.
But my question will still stand then, because actually if, say, Fishergate shouldn't have been confidential, then actually there shouldn't be a confidential minute regarding it. That's basically...
Sorry,
So,
I'll-
that,
I'll
so
take
that's,
that.
that's
I'll take that one.
something
Thank you.
offline that I think the town clerk will look
Yeah.
at. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sorry, may
That's great.
I just say, in accordance with one of the suggestions in accordance with Standing Order 713, is that where a written reply or other action should be allocated to a councillor to consider, may I suggest that as this is a quasi-legal matter, that the council might consider authorising me to sit down with Christina Glynn, go through these issues which she'd raised, see if we can resolve them, and that for me to report back to the council at a later stage as to whether I think the council is being correct or not being correct in the way it's dealing with these confidential matters.
First take advice from the town clerk on that. As soon as-
Absolutely comfortable, if that's what they want
Yeah.
to do, absolutely fine.
Is anybody happy to propose that?
Mr Mayor, sorry, Deputy Mayor, may I speak about something?
Okay.
I don't, my apologies, I don't feel it's right for a councillor to have it'll be classed as a conflict of interest in my opinion. I do feel that if that's going to take the case, it should be an independent legal advisor that goes to the council to speak to member public regarding our confidential items. The other thing I'd like to mention is I do agree with Ms Glynn regarding the last item on the agenda, which is the land south of Whitefriars Meadow. I do feel that should be in the public interest. The other items about Bay Hall, that should remain confidential. It has details on it, GDPR.
Noted, but we'll pick that up at the point in the agenda. So, is anybody happy to propose the offer from Councillor Gray, Councillor Black? Anybody happy to second that? Councillor Morehouse? Who would like to vote?
Two against. Yeah, two against.
Can I have my vote recorded, please, Town Clerk?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, and that's item 7. And that's a verbal report from our 2 district councillors on matters relating to Sandwich. Do we have any notice from Councillor Friend? I see he's not in the room.
No, nothing.
No? Councillor Morehouse, are you happy to stand up?
I'm sorry, I'm unable to stand due to sustaining an injury
And that's fine.
in an RTC today.
Yes. Thank you very much.
First of all, 57 New Street. So there was a meeting that took place last Thursday, and I am now waiting for senior planning officer's manager to get back to me on the contents of that meeting, which I will hopefully report back on at the next STC meeting, if not at the planning meeting beforehand. Secondly, with regard to the tree planting at Montague Place, which has been an ongoing issue reported to me back in August 2023, I've contacted Abbey Homes directly. They have come back with a report, which I have shared with the voluntary tree warden, and voluntary tree warden and I are going to undertake an audit of the tree planting. Because as I said at the last meeting, if those trees had been planted in accordance with the plan, the houses that run along the Black Lane would have a great deal more privacy than they have at the moment. And this is down to bad management of the trees. I've also attended 2 meetings with regards to events in the town. The first with ward councillors, Chris Townend, the Rebecca Dyer, who's the events management committee, and Roger Walton. And following that, I attended a meeting last Friday with Steve Laslett, and this was for the Sandwich Community Events Association. It has been confirmed that the TTRO, which is necessary for the closure of the butchery. Now, I do appreciate the fact that the traffic goes the wrong way at the butchery for about 5 metres. But nevertheless, because of litigation issues, were an accident to occur, Dover District Council could become culpable. And having had to attend an inquest recently over an accident in Pancester Gardens last year, this is the driving force behind the new processes and procedures for events and the associated costs. It is not political. It's not been introduced by the Labour group. It would have been introduced by any of the 2 groups that would have controlled Dover District Council, regardless of elections. So anyone suggesting this is political is, frankly, not talking straight. I could say other words. So the TTRO will be paid. TTRO of Dover District Council have offered to pay for that, for the £910 fee for a period of either 12 or 18 months, and that's to be confirmed. The other issue that they've agreed to is that the Christmas lights fun fair in the Guildhall car park, there will be no compensation required from the loss of car parking space. So that event will go ahead with impunity, apart from, I believe, an administration charge. Regarding the compensatory scheme for the areas such as the Grasscrete and possibly Market Street, I'm confused about this issue with the TTRO, whether they're going to apply the charge for the TTRO and the suspension of car parking. That's to be clarified, and that will be clarified mid-November. So that takes on the events and the other matters. The other issue is the full DDC meeting that took place on the 16th of October, which I attended, and I read out the report verbatim regarding the 2 land allocations, SAP 21, which is the land adjacent to Sandwich Technology School, and SAP 22, which is Archers Yellow. And finally, not directly related to DDC, but I am reliably informed that a councillor is suggesting that I am a supporter of the Sandwich Toll Bridge being closed permanently to traffic. I would like to say that I've been a Sandwich Town Councillor for 14 of the last 17 years. I have never uttered a single word in support of that. I'm quite happy to swear on any Bible you wish to give me. And that concludes mine.
Thank you, Councillor Moorhouse, and that will be reflected in the minutes, I'm certain. Thank you very much. Any questions of Councillor Moorhouse? Councillor Fortescue?
Could I ask if there's been any progress regarding the elms?
The lines.
Sorry, the lines.
Yeah, the lines is, there was a meeting last week with the senior planning officer. The senior planning officer has now referred that to his manager for her to report to me, which is annoying, frustrating. But I have to be proportionate, and proportionate communication with DDC is important. We had a recent case where disproportionate communication with DDC occurred. Friday morning, October the 4th, I don't for one moment believe that there were hundreds of people literally contacting the district councillor about a piece of 2 metres of web fencing on the quay. Now, I'm not here to debate whether that fencing was appropriate or not. But the sensible and adult thing to do would have been to contact the sound clerk and ask for that to be removed because they've received a few complaints. To suggest that there was hundreds of complaints is a falsehood.
Thank you. Okay. No more comments? Right, if we could move on to agenda item 8 was a verbal report from our county councillor, but we've had apologies from her, so could we request a written update if that's possible? Thank you. And moving on to agenda item 9, and that would normally be a report from our local police representative and community warden for Sandwich. Well, we'll be dropping off that one unfortunately shortly, but certainly from our local police representative. Have we had any contact at all from
No, but she's
Lauren?
got a drop-in session tomorrow
Yes.
evening, 6 till 7 p.m. if anyone's interested to attend.
Yes. Councillor Anderson.
Yes, I wondered if the council would agree to record their regret about the loss of the community warden, because I do think Peter Gill is enormously helpful to this community, and I think it would be appropriate, perhaps under this agenda item, for us to record something
Yes, so
about our regrets.
I agree with you, we should record it, but as I think I mentioned earlier, the Mayor has written already to the area manager for that team with very strong challenges about why that decision's been taken, and obviously that we can bring back to the next meeting, hopefully to discuss further. Councillor Ripley.
Yeah, I might have missed the plot here, but I'm not sure if I understand the reasons why this happened in the first place.
No. No.
Do we have any idea?
I think we have a letter we can share, haven't we?
There is a letter we can share, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll start from the letter being shared, and then we can reflect on that collectively and individually, and hopefully before the next meeting we'll have a response to the Mayor in terms of the challenges he set, and then maybe we can discuss it as an agenda item next time. Thank you. Councillor Moorhouse.
Yeah, regarding the police, there's been reports recently of at least twice the cinema has been targeted by a group of youths, and I'm also aware that the Swimming World meeting towards the end of September was interrupted by the very same people.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
similar.
And I'm aware that the Mayor again has raised concerns about all of this antisocial behaviour around the town with a number of parties, and I'm hoping that we may get some responses in time for the next meeting. And I do understand that the Mayor will attend the drop-in session this week to speak directly to PC Lauren regards what is possible in terms of tackling this. Okay, thank you. Moving on, agenda item 10, updates from our councillors. I've had a text from an absent friend, the Mayor, so if I can read out his update before I open it up to the floor. So he had 3 items he wanted to mention. The first was that we had the most successful Speakers' Day event, which was due to the hard work of the town clerk and staff. It came in massively under budget too. There's an exclamation mark at the end of 2 as well, just to emphasise that point. Second mention from him was that and this picks up on what's just been said, so due to the recent antisocial behaviour incidents, the Mayor has written to PC Lauren, Chief Constable to Councillor Moorhouse as well, I believe, DDC CSU, the Police Commissioner, the Home Office, and the Home Secretary, asking for help. So I think he's contacted anybody and everybody, which is brilliant. So far, none have offered any help, but several did bother to respond. So he has had some responses, but it took up to 3 weeks to get those responses. So I will leave it for him to decide how he wants to share what he has received back in terms of this. The third item, it's a reminder from the Mayor that councillors should be reminded that the management of the town clerk is down to the Mayor on a daily basis and HR committee generally. The management of all Guildhall staff is undertaken by the town clerk. Councillors are asked not to approach or comment to staff directly, especially on HR matters. Okay, thank you. Opening up to the floor, any councillors want to report specifically on anything that they've been doing on behalf of the council? Councillor Marie first.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have 3 items for you. Number 1, Christmas lights in full swing. As Councillor Morehouse said, the DDC have allowed us to have the Guildhall car park at a small fee of £180 for the administration fee, so the funfair will go ahead. Number 2 is for the Sandwich and District Royal British Legion. Obviously it's poppy appeal time now, so the poppies are out, they're out and about the town, so please go and support the Royal British Legion. Obviously, hope to see all the councillors at the memorial service on the 10th of November. And also the third thing was the neighbourhood watch scheme. I have all these on order, which is the plaques to go out on the street signs around the town. If anybody would like them in their street, please email me or the town clerk. We'll be passed over in. There are 20 on order. As soon as they arrive, they'll be put up. We have guidance from KCC on how to put them up and how high they go up, etc., etc. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Marie, I know that you are our representative on the Neighbourhood Watch.
Yeah.
It would be helpful maybe at a future meeting to actually come and explain to us exactly how the Neighbourhood Watch scheme runs in Sandwich.
Yeah.
It would be helpful, I think, for many of us to understand how many interventions, what it is that we benefit from, and what we can do for the Neighbourhood Watch scheme as well, if other councillors are in agreement.
Yeah, more than happy to
Thank you very much. I think Councillor Frank.
Yeah, I've been acting on behalf of the Portman Haven about the relet in front of the Willow Bank. I didn't realise it had to be done by a certain date for the environment because of eels migrate up the river. That's a fact. All the years I lived in Sandwich, and I know they're pretty hills, but I didn't realise they had a certain time, Victor. So, anyway, working on the route back. But as you may probably notice, P22 is now permanently left. It's up for sale.
Thank you very much. Councillor Morehouse.
You asked us to talk about the things we have done for the town. Regrettably, I was unable to attend the CALP meeting last Wednesday as I was away in the West Midlands. Secondly, although this is not directly connected to as a representative of the council, I would like to say thank you very much to the Mayor and for the town clerk for their efforts for the forthcoming visit of the Honfleur Twinning Association. This is very important because this is the 65th year of the signing of the Twinning Association in 1959, and also the 15th year that we've been running again as a living association after 25 years of dormancy. So thank you very much to the town clerk and to the Mayor for their efforts in assisting with the tour of the Guildhall on Saturday.
Yeah, noted, thank you. Councillor Black.
Thank you. You may know that I am lumbered as the Secretary of the Tourism Forum. I attended a meeting, a networking meeting organised by Dover District Council on Wednesday, and that proved extremely useful for how we can develop tourism. There's some papers which I may circulate. Already I've got interest with Betshanger to say, can we do some exchange of museum staff and some mutual visits, so to make sure that we see if there are any possibilities of some greater cooperation between those two. Other things will be following from Visit Kent and so on.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Okay, thank you everybody. If we move on to agenda item 11, and that's financial information, budget comparison, financial statements, cash book, bank reconciliations and reserve reports. So we have got 3 items here, attachments 6A, 6B and 6C. Again, I think these may have been surfaced at the Finance and General Purposes Committee. So the first is to receive and note the Sandwich Town Council bank reconciliations as of the 30th of September 2024. To receive and note the Sandwich Town Council financial budget comparison reports as of the 30th of September 2024. And finally, to receive and note the financial statement cash book as of the 30th of September 2024. And as mentioned earlier, against financial items from Councillor Wiles, these have been presented to the Finance General Purposes Committee and have been discussed in detail. So do we have any final comments on these from anybody at all? Councillor Fortescue.
Yes, I'd like to ask about Boatman's Hill Chapel. I see that a payment was made of £180 for water rates and maintenance. So presumably there's a tap in the chapel or outside the chapel or something, or I mean, I haven't noticed.
There's a watering tap
Yes.
outside the
Yes.
chapel.
A watering tap.
Yeah.
And I just wondered about this building. I mean, it's a drain on the council's resources, and as far as I'm aware, it's not serving any useful purpose.
So I think that's a reasonable comment, Councillor Fortescue. It is featuring in terms of discussions by the property manager in terms of their work. Councillor Wiles might want to update because the Finance and General Purposes Committee have got
Yes,
some
the
interest.
Boatman's Hill Chapel, as you know, has been empty for many years.
Yep.
It's it was sold to us by DDC, but there was a covenant in the sale document which says it can only be used as a chapel. So that makes it worthless. So the property manager is going to be talking to DDC about whether we can negotiate a deed of release to allow other uses to be considered. And if that's possible, then we could perhaps rent it for a different purpose. If not, then it doesn't really have much use.
Councillor Frampton.
I don't think that's quite correct. It was Derby District Council that wanted a lot of work spending on the roof. Derby District Council wanted to demolish it. There's such an outcrop from the local community that I think they actually gave it to Sandwich Town Council for the amount of work involved. And Sandwich Town Council, I think they spent, if I remember, over £20,000 repairing it, putting a complete new roof on it. Well, mind you, since St Over's been up there boarding all the windows up because of vandalism, boarding the doors. But it had a lot of money spent on it, so the roof structure is only about 25 years old.
Okay. So I think at a future point this will be brought to the Finance and General Purposes Committee to start with in terms of any proposals around it. I know the property manager is investigating the circumstances at the moment, and then subsequently that would come to the full council in any case.
They finished it tomorrow night, was the deputy mayor, didn't they? Halloween.
Very possibly, very possibly. Okay, are we happy to take the three of these attachments on block? And if so, is somebody happy to propose them? Councillor Wiles is proposing and Councillor Marie is seconding. And that to vote. Thank you. You got that? Yep. Okay. Agenda item 12, we've got a Maddox Fund update, and that's coming from the town clerk herself, so I can pass over to you. That's all right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I'm sure you will.
Have you got it? Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So following the last meeting, there were some queries which we have got responses to from the executors. So the purpose of the report is to share the updates received in relation to the Maddox Fund from the account manager for the investments at EFG Harris Allday, and share an update received from the executors at Williamson and Barr Solicitors in answers to the queries. The Town Council has now received confirmation from EFG Harris Allday that the transfers of the shares from the Maddox estate have been completed to the Town Council discretionary managed account. The account judging the Maddox Fund has an up-to-date valuation report which was shared by EFG Harris Allday and is attached as Appendix 7A. In addition, the Council received further correspondence from the executors Williamson and Barnes for the Maddox estate, and they are continuing their work on the accounting and tax affairs of the estate and have shared the form HM Revenue and Custom Statement of Income from Estates. This is attached as Appendix 7B to the report. During the administration of the estate, income arising from the assets belonging to the estate is subject to income tax in the executor's hands. The statement shows the income element of the estate attributable to STC's inheritance for the period up to the 5th of April 2024. And following the council meeting in September, queries were raised which I've shared with the executors to seek a response. The following has been received from Williamson and Barnes. We have written to the South African Company registrars asking whether they can arrange for the shares in Sibanye Stillwater Limited and Standard Bank Group Limited to be donated to charity. If the registrars confirm they can do this, but there will be a fee to pay, they will have to reconsider. The US investments which cannot be accessed until clearance is received from the US Inland Revenue Services are, and they've listed them there, I won't read them all out for you, you can see them on the report. The value of these shares fluctuate constantly as they are traded shares, so their value to the estate and the beneficiaries will not be known until they can be traded. They cannot be traded until the executors have clearance from the US Inland Revenue Service. They are quoted shares, so current prices can be seen in the press and on the internet. And additionally, we can approach Harris all day, who would be able to answer any queries the council have about their value. What the executors can say is that at the point the executors determined to undertake the collection of these investments, the prices indicated it would be an economic exercise. And then I've just reiterated that we're not expecting the clearance required from the US Inland Revenue Service until at least July 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. We did have a pre-meeting before tonight's council meeting, and it on the basis of how many people here, and people do have reasons why they can't attend pre-meetings, but these are usually in response to demand from councillors. So it was a little bit disappointing, the numbers that were in the room. And any future pre-meetings, if we do have any, can we please make best efforts to attend those, because I think we only had 4 of us who attended, plus 2 online as well. So it was a third of the council, unfortunately. Councillor Gray.
Have Willington and Barnes ever given us any indication as to what their costs and fees are likely to be for winding up the estate? And also, do we know how much funds they are retaining in order to cover these fees? Because they can't take these costs and fees until they've completed the executorship. And I really think if they haven't told us, they really ought to give us some indication of what fees are likely to be and how much more funds, if any, we will be receiving or likely to receive from them.
So I have asked the question, Councillor Gray, twice now, and they are still working on the calculations. I think the process is taking a long time with the Inland Revenue and everything else. That's it's a very complex situation, and obviously we're not the only beneficiary. So they've assured me they are still working on it, and as soon as we get that information, I will obviously share that with members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Town Clerk.
It counts. It counts.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so do we have a decision here required?
It's
just a note.
Yeah.
I'm happy to propose receipt of the report. Anybody happy to second? Councillor Black. I'm voting. All in favour? Thank you very much. Agenda item 13, outside bodies update. Town Clerk to share a report to request that members appoint an outside body representative to join the Friends of the Empire Cinema Group to represent Sandwich Town Council. So if the Town Clerk would like to introduce the report, and then maybe Councillor Wiles could give his views in terms of his involvement up to this point in relation to that Friends groups, because they need to join up as a request versus acceptance or otherwise.
Yes. So I just wanted to bring the attention to Council that there is a new group set up, Friends of Empire Cinema, and whether or not you thought it was appropriate for a town councillor to represent the town council on that group, or even if it was appropriate, I don't know. Obviously, Councillor Wiles would probably know more than it.
So I set up the meeting a few weeks ago when we had about 50 odd people in the lounge of the cinema, and it was to set up a friends group for the cinema. They adopted a constitution, they've elected a committee of 9 people, chair, treasurer, secretary, etc. I'm not aware that they've requested a nomination from the council, but I'm sure they would be happy for one of us to come to their meetings. But I suppose the other question is whether it should come from the town council or the Tollbridge Fund, given it's a Tollbridge Fund property. So I would suggest as a way forward that we nominate someone and then speak to them about whether they wish to accept a nomination and how they wish to work with us. They're an independent body, so technically speaking, we have no legal domination over them.
No. Councillor Marie?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. sadly I couldn't attend the meetings because I've been away over the summer with work, so I couldn't attend, but the work I've seen is fantastic. As it is STC or Tollbridge Fund asset, I do feel that we do need a representation on there from a councillor. And because Councillor Wiles, so Colin, I spoke to you earlier on this afternoon, because the amount of work he's done over the course of the months to get this going, and the amount of work that's been done for the Empire Cinema, which is great, I do feel I'd like to nominate Councillor Wiles as the STC representation for the Empire Cinema.
That's a good directional pointing, but Councillor Wiles, are you happy to have your name included in any communication?
I'd be happy.
Yep.
To go forward. Yeah.
We'll vote on that in a minute, but Councillor Moorhouse?
Second proposal.
Oh, right, okay. That's good. Okay, so what we're saying is that we would like to, what we're voting on, we would like to approach the Friends to nominate an individual, and we'd like to name Councillor Wiles as the council's representative. Okay, if people are happy to propose, we have a second, and we'll vote it. Thank you. Carried. Councillor?
I should make it clear that the Friends group is an independent.
It is.
I've made it clear to them that if I come to their meetings, I'm sitting there as a council representative.
Yes.
And I can't wear two hats, because there could be a situation where the council and the Friends are negotiating or in opposition, so I can't ride both horses at once.
Yeah, I'm confident, Councillor Wiles, that you will be able to distinguish that and to make the right call. Councillor Black.
Yeah, related to this, I see that I'm down as a representative for the Sandwich Festival Association. I've not heard any communications at all, and I'd like to ask my colleague, Councillor Marie, if he's had any. Is this still operative? And we seem to have no communications about it.
Councillor Marie?
So I stood down as chair of the Sounds Festival. So when they have their AGM, they'll be taken over. So it's up to the Sounds Community Events Association to decide and give you the details regarding whether they want to have STC representation in the future. I haven't got any minutes for you. Do apologise. We didn't have any meetings this year due to the fact it's normally an ongoing process and it's all run by other bodies. So we don't technically have had a meeting. But as I said, I've now stood down as chair of the Sandwich Festival, and it's now up to the SCA to decide whether they want that outside body representation.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
Yes. Well, I've said this before. I'm on the Sandwich Dementia Action Alliance as a council representative, but I've never heard from them. So I don't know if they still exist.
Okay.
I presume they're based at age concern, but
I'm happy to take that away as an action.
Okay, so there's an action there. The town clerk, Councillor Anderson, will be investigated to get a response. Thank you.
Can I just make a suggestion? So maybe when the new mayor comes into effect next May, maybe this can be looked at and refreshed. Some groups are not meeting, some groups are all the time, so maybe it can be tweaked and addressed and looked at.
It's a good suggestion, and I assume the town clerk will do that in the lead up in any case.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Councillor Gray, final comments?
While we are looking at this, I noticed there's no mention of the Sandwich United Charities, of which we are meant to have 4 or 5 representatives, is it? I don't know, I can't remember offhand.
4.
They are refusing to nominate anybody or accept any representative. They say they've changed their rules unilaterally so that they don't require us anymore. And I think this is a disgrace. And really, this needs to be followed up and some action needs to be taken.
Okay. So what I would say is an amount of work was done investigating this, as you know, Councillor Gray, and a number of exchanges of communications. I think possibly we can take the opportunity to take stock in any case in terms of where we are or think we are. For me, my personal view is that when we come to the next year's round, we should do what we should do as a council, which is nominate, unless their constitution has been properly changed and lodged with a charity commission, because we should still play our part for the community more widely in terms of providing nominations to that particular charity.
Of course we should.
But that's my personal view. Councillor.
But can I just Can I just make a comment on that? I do believe, me and Councillor Franklin just haven't discussed it, I do believe they have changed their constitution with an EGM meeting with all the trustees in place. This will need to be followed up with the Charity Commission, so I do believe that they have to lodge it with the Charity Commission. So I'm not sure whether the town clerk can look into that,
Yeah,
but I do believe they have.
Thank you. I
I
think
would say yes, they did purport to change their rules at a meeting of the trustees when there were at that stage we had nominees who should have been present at their meeting. And that meeting is probably ultra vires,
Yeah.
and they probably had no power to do that.
so. Councillor Graven, thank you. This sort of illustrates the passage of exchanges that have happened on this. So I think we do need to take stock and decide what feasibly we can do again, if anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Right. Agenda item 14. We have an update from the town clerk on the work to improve the biodiversity of the Monkswall Nature Reserve. It's been presented for a decision is required on whether to appoint a planning consultant. I was going to propose that we defer this because when I've looked at the detail, there's very little detail in terms of what the scope is or what it is that it will cost. So if anybody's happy to second that, I prefer to defer it to the next meeting. Councillor Morehouse has seconded that. If we could vote on that.
I was going to say that this is time dependent because of the breeding season things.
Yeah.
You might defer it for a month, but it might turn out then it ends a year later.
Okay.
And I think we should follow the recommendations from the Nature Reserve, from the committee meeting.
So I've already made a proposal. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
I know you
noted,
have, but-
Councillor Franklin, and it's been seconded. So if people would like to vote on the basis of what we've got in front of us, which is a brief report, if people would like to accept that we do defer it to the next meeting of the council so we can get further background information on this.
That's Deputy Mayor, before
We're already voting.
Voting, yeah.
We're already voting, Councillor. Matt. Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favour. How many abstentions? Sorry, could you keep your cards up, please? 6. How many abstentions? 1 abstention. And then how many against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's carried.
Moving on to agenda item 15, the town clerk is to share a report on updating the conditions of hire document for the Guildhall forecourt, and a decision is required on whether to adopt the updated document for any future bookings for the forecourt. I'll pass over to the town clerk in a second, but I just want to say this is not about the fees. The fees are separate. This is picking up the existing conditions document and refreshing it to pick up a couple of issues that have emerged over this year and to make sure it is, as a document, robust enough moving forward. If I can pass over to the town clerk.
Thank you. So the purpose of this report is to seek views from members on an updated version of the condition of hire for the Guildhall forecourt. If the changes are approved, the updated document will then be adopted. At the last meeting of the Finance and General Purposes Committee held on the 22nd of October, members discussed events on the Guildhall forecourt. Discussion covered the following items. STC to undertake a review of the existing sets of guidance for the hire of the forecourt to ensure they are sufficiently robust following a number of lessons learned this year. STC to undertake a review of the fees for the use of the forecourt, including the dispensation given to a small number of local events to benefit from a reduced rate of fee for using the forecourt that may not meet all the requirements set out in the current guidance on eligibility. At this meeting, a review was introduced and an updated document which sets out the conditions for the hire of the Guildhall forecourt, and in light of some of the issues highlighted regarding damage caused and use of electricity not charged for, to ensure it was sufficiently robust and clear for future bookings. The updated version of the document is shared with members to review, and this is Guildhall Square Forecourt Conditions of Hire Draft 2.0.81024. A number of suggested revisions have been made to the document, and these are presented to members to review. So if approved, this means the document will be adopted by Council. Thank you.
Okay, if I could start with Councillor Mallet.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Mayor. There are 4 points I'd like to raise with regard to the electrics and cables.
Mhm.
Basically, the cables, within the report, it's hirers are advised to bring their own cables. Now, with the three-phase system that's installed, it's very difficult for anybody who's not, for example, is it Zoom events, the Feastable, who do this on a regular basis, who have a collection of 32 amp round, 16 amp round, 15 amp, and the like, to be able to use the forecourt without recourse to our cable, or to the cables. Now, if I can sort of cut straight to the chase on this one, as a solution, can I suggest that as the set of cables, including the distribution boards, which allow single use of each phase, and then we're going to start getting into the technicalities of it, which I don't want to, but to avoid all of this, those cables, because they were originally bought and set up for the use of SCEA and events, that they are passed on to SCEA lock, stock and barrel as their asset. They can then take the liability and distribute and use as needed. And I think this will save an awful lot of hassle by the caretakers, who otherwise have to bring them down, distribute them, possibly connect them, and also have the liability of how they're laid out on the forecourt. It means that STC can step back on a technicality. If I can also look at the metering, if the town clerk can clarify which outlets are to be metered. I'm not going into whether the metering should happen. I'm just looking at the technicalities of this. Are the three-phase, including the central area, to be metered? The centre lid, through which you access the central, one of the things I noted some time ago, by putting a carrot and allowing the lid to drop, even though it has a retaining compressed air shock absorber, will chop the carrot in half, and the same would happen to a finger. So that is a liability that the council.
It's been actually repaired.
It has. Good.
Yeah.
Good. I've not tested it.
In relation to the electricity meter, I've just been assured by the qualified electricians that we employ as a town council to do our electrics, that we are now in a position where if anyone uses electricity on the forecourt, we have a check meter, so we can actually quantify how much electricity is being used. What the technical aspects of it, I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, right.
I can certainly ask the electrician.
I'd be happy to speak to them and to clarify. Last but by no means least, are you going to charge us? And I'm speaking on behalf of the lights. If you will accept me doing that, are you going to charge us for putting the lights? Actually running the lights, because I would hope that the lights are considered part of Sandwich. And it would be inappropriate, regardless of what else is charged, to be charging for the pretty lights going on. Because if you did, it would be appropriate also to charge for the water that Sandwich and Bloom uses. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mallet. We'll come back to that question as a roundup. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Councillor Morehouse and Councillor Anderson.
Regarding the electricity, have we any projected revenue from this?
No, sorry, no. Because we haven't been able to quantify. I mean, we can look at the Guildhall costs for electricity, but that won't tell me how much of it we've used outside and how much we've used inside. So that's why a check meter's been installed, so that we can
from the affordability of events perspective,
Yep.
and whether the administration involved is disproportionate to the amount of revenue that you generate from it.
So one point I was going to mention was that the charging of electricity was within the guidance for a number of years. It just wasn't invoked. So this isn't a new addition in this guidance. It's actually picking up what has existed previously. Now, putting aside any discussions about why why it wasn't or why it should have been, but it is bringing forward something that was previously included in the guidance. Councillor Anderson.
Yes. I don't know if now is the moment to make this point, but I am struck by the comments that are continuously made by local organisations about the difficulty of becoming a registered charity. And we had another set of remarks just now where it was, for example, said that it's prohibitively expensive to set up a charity. Well, I'm currently looking at the Charity Commission instructions as to how to set up a charity, and there is no fee. I know this because I've been frequently engaged in setting up charities and have been a trustee of a number of charities over a very long period. There is no fee to set up a charity, so I don't understand that comment. Of course it's complicated, it's another form to fill, but it is not made deliberately difficult because the Charity Commission, like all government organisations, it does not, well, like most government organisations, does not want to set up a deterrent system for setting up charities. So you just have to apply yourself and spend some time, and it is not impossible for volunteers, because most charities are run by volunteers, for volunteers to do it. So I just wanted to make that point, that it is not difficult.
So thank you. I think the comments are valid. They're not relevant to the product in front of us. I think they should be picked up when we come back to this within finance and general purposes regards the charging regime and the status of any organisation when we come to that point, hopefully in November, but that'll be down to the chair of that committee. Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So item 14 on the terms and conditions, the cancellation, if I quote, if the hirer wishes to cancel the hiring in whole or in part, the hirer must give to the Town Council notice to that effect at the earliest opportunity, at least 48 hours before the event. The Town Council may cancel the hiring of the Guildhall Forecourt Square if it is rendered unusable for any reason for the event. The hirer will be informed at the earliest opportunity. The Town Clerk is not liable to the hirer in the event of cancellation for this reason, and in red at the bottom it says in both of these circumstances no refund of the hire fees will be made. Now I had a meeting with the Folk and Art Festival and we spoke about this, hence why we've had a couple of speakers here today, and they wish to have an amendment because technically that doesn't seem legal. If the event cancels, then yes, the Town Council will have every right to keep the money regarding it. If the Town Council cancels for any reason, then I do feel that if you was taken to a small claims court, you would be the person with whip. So I'd like to make an amendment to that, please. So it says that if the council is at fault due to the cancellation of a refund of the hiring fees should be made back to the hirer. So if the council, in basic terms, if the Town Council cancels at any point in time, the hire fees are given back to the event or to the event or whoever hires the square.
Thank you, Councillor Marie, and we'll come back to that as well at the end. And we can, if you want to propose it at that point,
yes,
then we'll
I do,
vote on it. Councillor Black.
Yeah, sorry to be cast as the pen again. Thank you very much for making the second part of what I raised F and GP, which is going from the third person to the second person. But you've still got it wrong, if I may suggest, under statutory requirements. If we could please have it consistent, you've suddenly changed from the hirer to you in the third paragraph.
Which section is that? Which number?
It's under statutory requirements and insurance.
Number?
Paragraph 3. Please note that the comps.
Yep. We're just trying to find it, don't worry.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. We had the same problem last time. It's probably slipped through the cracks. That's fine. The other one you modified.
Until you.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Fortescue.
First one, very minor point, under 8, alcohol licence. I think it should be sale and consumption of alcohol are not permitted, rather than is not permitted. And under liability, 12, I don't want to be too pessimistic as to all the disasters that could occur in the Guildhall forecourt, but I suggest we might have a phrase along the lines of violent or terrorist incident, because I think the scenarios currently outlined don't include some maniac with a gun firing bullets in the Guildhall forecourt.
I hope not.
So, sorry, I didn't capture, it was something or terrorist incident. What was it?
Well, you might want
Violent.
to change that bit. Violent or terrorist
Okay.
incident.
Yeah.
That's suggested.
Take final comments from
Can I
Councillor Reid and then we'll just recap.
Just to comment on Councillor Fortescue's comments, the sale of alcohol and stuff, and the food safety stuff, all the resident stallholders hold TENS licences. They get their own. We require them to get their own and show us their food safety certificates. Regarding an emergency incident or terrorist incident, the SC, the Sandwich Community Events Health and Safety Policy, states guidelines of what to happen. This is exactly the same pretty much as what we do in the school, which is run, hide, and basically tell, phone the police. There are lots of egress areas for the square, as you can see. You've got loads of open spaces. So a terrorist incident in the town, it wouldn't probably happen. I'd say that, but it's one of those things, isn't it?
Okay, thank you. Final comment, Councillor
Yeah,
Wallace.
so electricity, I think it's a useful point about how much might be charged. I've no idea whether it's in the tens or the hundreds of pounds. I know some of the stallholders cook with electricity, which I assume uses a lot. So it might be useful in advance to give a rough idea to the event organisers of how much they might be charged, and whether it would be simpler to take that from the deposit rather than charging separately.
So the inclusion of a deposit in the guidance is protection for the council in terms of damage. It does stand alone, so it's not a charging element of the fees.
But if, for example, it was £10, it's hardly worth the administrative time to...
That might muddle the finances, the processes for the RFO. Yeah.
But just going back to the point about charity status, I mean, we've accepted in the past the principle that non-profit event organisers will pay a lower fee than the commercial events, such as Feastable. But I think under 18, where it says charity or community events, evidence will be required, such as charity registration or community status registration, such as CIC or CIO. I think it's still too vague. We're going to be heading for a conflict at some point, because historically the groups have not taken the decision to set themselves up as charities or CICs or CIOs. As far as I'm aware, they're all unincorporated community associations. So is that covered in that paragraph or not? And if not, then we're facing a difficult negotiation.
So I'll come back on that. So we finished in terms of comments, if that's okay, unless it's really critical.
It's regarding the comment that Councillor Wiles just made regarding the CIC-CIO. So Folk and Ale Festival has applied twice, Lights have applied once, but they don't meet the criteria, so they are excluded. That's the ballpark. That's how it is. So you can talk about events getting CIC and CIOs. The criteria is too high for such a small events teams to run that. The only ones that can do it is the SCA. There used to be one for the CIO, I believe. The CIC. That's it. And CIC for the sandwich shop that used to run parallel with SCA, but that's now gone.
Thank you. Okay. I think we've taken enough comments. In terms of the final comment around the charity community events, this was the existing guidance within the product, so this was the existing draft. The discussions around the status, etc., will be picked up by Finance and General Purposes Committee as part of the next year's regime of charging. So I don't think it's integral to the product itself. However, we've got a few proposals here in terms of amendments. Firstly, Councillor Marie's in terms of yours.
So it will be, so the cancellation, it's a cancellation fee, so if Sandwich Town Council cancel at any time the use of the Guildhall forecourt, that they refund the event or the hirer the full amount.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll take that as a proposed amendment when we vote. We also had Councillor Mallett's in terms of the Christmas lights.
And the gifting of the cabling to SCEA.
Yeah,
Can
so
we
I
include that?
my personal view in terms of that should be kept separate, and that should be an offline discussion with the town clerk, because there's too much detail there to investigate.
Yeah. Okay, understood.
Yeah. Because again, it was a part of the document previously written. If we want to change that, I think you need to do some detailed discussions with the town clerk, if you're happy with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So there is a exclusion for the Christmas lights because of the breadth and depth of the community impact of having lights available during the period of the lead up to Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we happy to vote on that? Anybody happy to propose with those two amendments? Councillor Moorhouse, Councillor Ripley seconding, and happy to vote acceptance or not? One abstention. Okay, thank you very much. Item 16, confidential matters. Under the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, extended by Section 100 of the Local Government Act 1972, the public may be excluded from a meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972 by virtue of the paragraph specified against the item. Number 1, information relating to any individual. Number 2, information which is likely to reveal the identity of an individual. Item 3, information relating to the financial or business affairs of any particular person. Is anybody happy to propose that?
Propose. However, I did mention earlier on regarding the last item and the confidential information, item regarding the land south of Whitefriars. I do believe it's in the town's interest to listen to what has been said.
So that was the confidential item on the July agenda. So these are the confidential minutes from the July meeting. So it's just for you to approve the minutes. It's not it's not a debate yet.
No. So we've got a proposer, Councillor Marie, seconder. Councillor Mallet, and vote. One abstention. Thank you very much. Stop at that point.